questions on the warm-ups that you want to cover? So look at beta here. We have hoi kata bebe kates. Hoi kata bebe kates. What does the form kata bebe kates come from? Anybody have any good guesses as to the form here? That's a little bit tough. What do you think? What is that? Kata bino. Now, that doesn't look a whole lot like kata bino, does it? Yeah, the kata part does. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, if this is the lexical form, then the present stem is what? Katabine. Okay. Do we have katabine over here? Can this be a present stem form, whatever it is? No. It's got to be aorist or perfect, right? Now, if you see the kat here, kappa plus ot, that's got to be what? Yeah, it's got to be perfect. So perfect and active too, right? Perfect active participle. And then the S case ending is nominative, plural. And here with the hoi preceding, it's got to be masculine. Yeah? Okay, great. Now, so there's no nominative plural noun that this agrees with. So it must be functioning as the noun. And that is a substantival adjective use, right? So how would we translate this if it's perfect? The ones who what? Have gone down. The ones who have gone down, or those who have gone down, they who have gone down from Jerusalem. Okay? And this is obviously not a full sentence, so we just have a fragment of a sentence here.
Where does the extra epsilon and beta come from?
Oh, okay. So we didn't look at this, but what we have then is we have be before the kappa. So this is our perfect stem, and the beta has reduplicated and separated with an epsilon to do the reduplication. Okay, so in katabino, the real root is this beta eta. Okay, so we've built up or modified the root to form the present stem, bine. It's gotten a new infix and an iota here. All right.
Is this just a rare one?
So yeah, this is now there are several forms of bino that have prefixes. So kata is down, so to go down. Anabino is to go up, right? Apabino is to go away. So you could see several compound verbs that use this. But once you see this, you would get used to seeing it because it does happen a number of times. But it does look quite different from the actual present stem. So this is one of those ones where you need to learn it, memorize your forms. Yeah. So ana bebe kates would be those who have gone up. Okay.
But you wouldn't use above. Those who've gone up from Jerusalem.
Right. Yeah. Well, actually, you know what? It would be not a pa, but ace. Yeah, because if you're going up, then you're moving towards Jerusalem. That's right. Okay, good. Let's look at zeta because this one's important for what else you learned in the chapter, which was genitive absolute participle constructions. I am going to highlight these two words here because they hang together, and look at the omicron, upsilon, ending on both of these. What case is this? Yes, this is genitive, singular, and what gender is Sabbaton? The word for Sabbath. It's neuter. It's neuter. All right? So this is genamenu sabbatu. What type of a word is genamenu? See the mena? That's a participle, right? This is middle, and we got the genitive, singular, neuter. What's the stem? I've got gen before the connecting vowel and the mene. That is, what's the lexical form here? It's actually genamai. Genamai. So gen and gen go together, but gen is the present stem, gen is the aorist, and there's no sigma alpha. This is a second aorist middle participle. All right? So, what did we learn in the lesson about genitive absolute participles? They are disconnected from the sentence, in a sense. They're genitive, not because something's forcing them to be genitive. There's no preposition, there's no noun that they agree with in genitive case. It's because they are grammatically independent, and the subject of a genitive absolute participle is not the same as the subject of the main verb. So, what is it that genamide here? The participle's genitive, and the subject is of the participle is genitive in a genitive absolute. So I'm going to translate this. Usually, genitive absolute participles are adverbial, and frequently they're temporal adverbial. So how might I translate this? I could say after or when if it's temporal. So when, Sabbath, what? What's genamai mean? Yeah, in the aorist, it could mean to come, to happen, to occur. All right? So when Sabbath came, autos, there's a he, and this he is not the same as the Sabbath, right? The Sabbath is the subject of the verb coming. He is some other participant who's the subject of erkatai. He comes or came. Remember, this is a present form, but it's being used probably for past time given the past time context of the narrative. He came estan synagogein. Yeah, to the synagogue. This really should be estain synagogein. I'm not sure. Do you guys have tan or tain in your workbook? You have tan, huh? You have no idea why he has tan here. Synagogue is feminine. Okay, so whatever the case. So in genitive absolutes, the subject of the genitive is usually not represented in the main clause. Notice in the sentence, he came to the synagogue, there are no genitive nouns, right? Most of the time, when we have an adverbial participle, it matches the case gender number of something in the main clause. But here it doesn't. Okay, it's detached in that way. Can we read epsilon together? Ready? Elegant, to keklekati. You can repeat after me. Take to keklekati. Autan. All right. So who's speaking, or which person and number is speaking in elegant? Yeah, one person. So he, she, or it. And is this this epsilon an augment or a reduplication? It's an augment. And so this is either imperfect or aorist. Which one is it? It's the imperfect from Lego, using the present stem, right? So someone, he, she, or it, was saying. To keklekati autan. What kind of form is keklekati? That's a perfect participle. How can you tell? Kappa, OT, reduplication. All right? So perfect active participle. And then after the OT, I've got a lonely little iota. Which case gender number is that? Dative, singular, and masculine or neuter. We don't have enough context to know for sure, right? If it's a man, masculine, could be the word for child, which is neuter. So we don't know for sure, but let's assume it's masculine for the time being. Is there a dative singular masculine noun that this participle accompanies and agrees with? No. So look at the article in front of the participle. Is this an adverbial or an adjectival one? It's adjectival, right? Adverbials never take the article. So it's adjectival, but there's no noun. So it can't be attributive. It must be substantival. So he was saying to the having, what is the lexical form here? Kaleo, which means to call. So he was saying to the having called one, or the one who had called autan him. Maybe he said to the having called him one, which really is bad English. So he said to the one who had called. Now I'm saying had called here because the main verb is past, and the perfect participle presupposes action prior to that. Okay? So if I were using a present tense main verb, he is saying, and all the rest were the same, then I would probably translate it with has called. He is saying to the one who has called him. Okay? So just be aware that English requirements are going to cause some differences in relative tense value here. Okay? Now, who asked for that? Okay, does that help? Yes. All right. Good. By the way, why is autan accusative? That's right. It's the object of the participle. Okay? Remember, participles, even when they're functioning substantively, can take their own direct objects. All right, others? So for alpha, everybody, let's read it. Ready? Repeat after me. Ha Jesus apen. Tois presbyterois. Lelukasi. Tahi'aran. All right, great. Now, ha Jesus apen means the Jesus said. No, Jesus said. Okay. Tois presbyterois? No. To the Presbyterians. Yeah. No. So to the elders. And then I have lelukasi here. What form or part, what kind of verb form is this? Okay. That's a participle. Are you sure that's a participle? Doesn't look much like one, does it? It does have a kappa. Kappa omicron. What am I missing? I'm missing the tau here. Lelukatsi. So the sigma iota is the case ending following a tau. What do taus do before sigma? They drop out, don't they? They drop out. Okay, so I've got all of the earmarks here of a perfect active participle, don't I? What case gender number is C? Dative, plural, and either masculine or neuter, right? Now, is this dative, plural, masculine, or neuter anchored to anything in the clause? Yeah, tois presbyterois is also dative, plural, masculine. So I can go ahead and dispense with the neuter possibility, right? Now here's the question. Is leilukasi adverbial or adjectival? Okay. I'm going to go with adverbial too. Okay, this is adverbial. Notice that the noun to which it's anchored is articular, right? So if this were an adjectival participle, it would be tois presbyterois tois leilukasi. Okay? Or leilukasi would have gone before tois in between these. Okay, that would have been an attributive adjective position. So this is adverbial. So we're going to want to translate this maybe with a temporal kind of framework. So Jesus said to the elders, maybe something like when or after they had loosed or destroyed the temple. He's not getting this from the New Testament, is he? I don't remember this. He made this one up. Okay, I was thinking, wow, where is this? Okay. All right, so he said to the elders or spoke to the elders when or after they had destroyed the temple. Alrighty, let's look at delta. And you repeat after me. Estin gegramenon, ephagen arton, ektu uranu. All right, so what am I looking at here? Estin is the verb to be. What tense is this? It's present, active, indicative. Which person and number? Third singular. All right, good. So he, she, it is, and then gegramenon. Yeah, there's a meno form there, huh? And we have reduplication. So this is looking very perfect. And it's participle, and with the meno, it's middle passive participle. Okay, good. Now, look at that nu at the end. Is this the nu that I would expect with an accusative case ending?
No.
It could be just all things being equal, but not in a sentence with a copular verb like this. What kind of verb do I want if I'm going to have something accusative? I want a transitive verb that takes a direct object. And a me doesn't take direct objects. Subjects of a me are going to be nominative, and predicate nominatives will be nominative. And predicate adjectives will be nominative. Okay? So, this is a nominative case form. So if there's a nu, but it's nominative, it's got to be what gender? Neuter. That's right. It's nominative, singular, neuter. All right? Which would make me want to make the subject it instead of he. So it is gegramenon, written. Or it is having been written, but written doesn't, or sounds better, right? Some people might want to translate it as it stands written. Whatever the case, this is introducing a quotation, and then we have ephagen arton ek tu uranu. What is the lexical form of ephagen? This is a little bit tough. Yeah, this is from estheo. This is one of those verbs where you have got to learn the lexical form, and then its crazy principal parts. Estheo. Okay? So, there's an epsilon in front of it. Could that be the imperfect? It's an augment. Could it be the imperfect? What's the lexical form? The lexical form is estheo. So the imperfect uses which tense stem?
Present.
And where do you find the present tense stem? On the lexical form. Okay, so this is not anything remotely like the lexical form. So this is not the present stem, so that cannot be the imperfect. So what might it be? The aorist. And if it's an aorist and it doesn't have a sigma alpha, it must be what kind of an aorist? A second aorist. That's right. So, somebody ate. Now, do you see the F again? What can you tell me about that nu with the epsilon before it? It's the movable nu. And which person and number is F again? Third singular. So, he ate. Arton? Bread. Or did the bread eat? Okay, yeah. Makes better sense to think of the bread as the object, right? Now, is there any way to be sure that somebody ate bread and not bread ate somebody?
The accusative ending.
That's right. Unless arton is neuter, second declension. But what is the lexical form of arton?
Artus.
It's artos. Artos. Yeah, so it's like logos. So the nominative of arton is artos, and the accusative is arton. So we're right. This is the direct object. So he ate bread, ektu orenu, from heaven. That's right.
Can you go back to F again real quick?
Mm-hmm.
So you said that's aorist.
Yeah.
How is that aorist if the lexical form begins with an epsilon? You just got to know that because it's in the principal part.
Well, yeah, because so estheo uses the esthe root for its present stem, and the aorist uses a completely different root for its aorist form. So they're coming from two completely different places. That's why they don't look anything alike.
So it'd be basically fog
Exactly.
with epsilon being an augment.
That's right. So fog is the aorist stem. I'm adding an augment here. And then since it's a second aorist, I don't use the sigma alpha. I go straight to my connecting vowel and then my personal endings for second aorist.
What I got hung up on was, so, get Grom and is Grapho.
Oh, yeah. You know, we didn't really talk about why we see this form this way, did we? Okay. First things first. Is grapho in our principal parts list? Okay. I think it is. Take a look at it. We've called this a perfect middle passive participle. So what column would the indicative principal part be in for this tense? Perfect middle passive is the fifth column. Fifth column. And which form do you see? Ge, gra, mai. Right? Okay. And again, what do we do to get what we need? We strip off the personal ending and we add the menomene, right? Isn't that what we have? Ge, gram, menon. Okay, now, what happened to grapho to get this? It should have been ge, graph, mai, right? What happened here? Yes, this is that assimilation issue. My is a labial, isn't it? My's a labial. What's a labial? It's a consonant produced with the lips. Okay, and the phi is it's a labial, but it's a fricative, right? And to create the m sound, what do I have to do with my lips? I got to close them and stop all that airflow. And that's working against producing a phi, though, which has to keep the mouth open enough for that air to blow through it. And so, as a compromise, the phi says, I'll stop blowing air. And I become a labial that is just like the labial that comes after it. And that's what we call full assimilation. Okay? So gegrafmai becomes gegrammai. Yeah, the word for scribe is built off of the word gramma, which is related to this root. Exactly. Gramma is word, right? Or written thing. Mm-hmm.
So translating that sentence, it's,
So it is written, quote, he ate bread from heaven. Okay, so with Ada here, let's go ahead and recite this together, everybody. Repeat after me. Me edates, tas graphas, meide, tein dunamin, tu theu. All right, who remembers what the form is that edates comes from?
For out? No, wait, that is.
Not apen. This is challenging. Do you remember oida? What? How did you learn to translate oida? Yes, I know. Now, this verb is translated as if it were a present tense form. Technically, and Mounce mentioned this some chapters ago, oida is technically a perfect active indicative. Technically, it's a second perfect active indicative that always seems to have present tense value. What do we know about second perfects? Normally, kappa alpha is the first perfect tense formative, right? The alpha by itself is the second perfect tense formative. So what you're seeing with that alpha, that is the second perfect tense formative. And then you add your personal endings afterwards. So if it's lelu ka, lelu kas, lelu ke, it would be oida, oidas, oide. For I know, you know, he, she, or it knows. Oida men, oida te, and then oidan. So what does that mean? If in the indicative I translate this as if it's present, I have a participle that I'm going to basically translate as if it were like a present participle too. So this would be not knowing. Exactly. Not knowing. And by the way, how do we negate non-indicative verbs? We like to use may to negate them, right? So not knowing tas graphas, the scriptures, meide tein dunamin tu theu. Nor the power of God. And of course, he's just snipped a little fragment of a sentence here. There's a lot more that Jesus says. You do me oidates tas graphas, me detain dunamin tu theu. You not knowing.
So, oida is the second perfect active indicative?
Yeah. So oida is second perfect active indicative. So
What is ada?
yeah, so that we would say that this is a second perfect active participle, and then nominative plural masculine. All right. In other words, what do you have? You have the OT of the perfect, but what are we missing? We're missing the kappa, right? That's second perfect.
I guess because if you know, you are, it kind of is a past thing. You've already you know it. You have learned it in the past.
Yeah. when you start reading some of the advanced grammars, what you're going to find is that in discussions of the perfect, when the perfect's used, sometimes the focus is on the pastness of the action. That's when you use the perfect, usually the perfect has some relevance to the time of speaking, but sometimes the focus is more on the past action. And then there are some times when the perfect is used where the focus is more on the present relevance of that action and not so much its remoteness in the past. And that's what oida seems to do, is it seems to focus on the present effects of having come to know something means that you know it now, right? And that's why it's almost always translated as I know, you know, do you not know, and so forth. All right. Can you repeat gamma here after me? Pros, tus, pepistukatas, alto. All right. So pros is to or toward, and then I have what case article? Yep. So this is accusative plural, masculine. Pepistukatas. Ah, that's os after the ot, right? That's looking accusative plural and masculine. That can't even be neuter, can it?
Why is that not feminine?
Ah, because if it were feminine, it would be kuia, right? The ot, though, shows up in the masculine and neuter. Okay, so here's a participle with reduplication, the kappa, and the ot. Clearly a perfect active participle. It's articular, so it cannot be adverbial. It must be adjectival. If it's adjectival, it's either attributive or substantival. Is there an accusative plural noun that this is anchored to and agrees with? Nope. So it is a substantival function. So to the ones who, this is going to be the best way to translate it, to the ones who have believed in him. So to the ones who have believed in him. Or if the whole context is past, then it's to, he did something to the ones who had believed in him, right? So you always have to think about what's the time frame of the main verb, which we don't have here, so that you can properly situate this participle action relative to the main verb's action in time. So if the main verb's past, imperfect or aorist, then use the perfect with a had done something kind of translation. Yeah, you could say to those who have believed. Yep. If my main verb's present tense, maybe it's something like, let's just say I'm talking Greek, right? And I wanted to tell you, hey, Jesus loves those who have believed in him. What would I do? I would use this sort of a form. Jesus agapa tous pepistukatas auto. But then I wouldn't say had, but have believed, because my main verb's present tense, right? Jesus loves those who have believed in him. Yes.
Because the pepistukatas, let's say if we were parsing, that could have said having believed, right?
Yes, it is possible. Like if this were an adverbial participle, right? Then it might be something like having believed. Yeah, but whoever it's describing would have to be accusative plural in the context. So it might be something like the leaders persecuted the apostles pepistukatas when or after they had believed, meaning the apostles, right? Because the apostles are the direct object of the persecuting. They'd be accusative case, and then this adverbial participle would agree with it. Alrighty.